On the day I found out about my cancer, my husband was lying in bed with another woman. He even humiliated me for her sake. Later, I died, but he went mad. In the 3rd year of my marriage to Sean, he began keeping a young and attractive college student. Her name was Zoe, who embodied the innocence and charm that Sean admired. Sean had supported her for over half a year. Besides me, she was the woman that stayed close to him for the longest time. My friends advised caution. They believed Sean truly cared for Zoe. I met Zoe for the first time on my birthday. I had been having nosebleeds all morning and went to the hospital for an examination. The doctor told me I probably had only until next spring to live. I nodded gently, whispering, "It's okay." Death did not scare me, though I feared the pain. I had heard of an expensive medication that could make my remaining days more bearable. When my bank account ran low, I went to Sean's office to see him. Zoe was there too, having recently graduated and started working as Sean's secretary. While Sean was in a meeting, I waited outside. Zoe kept staring at me and secretly told her colleagues, "Is that the boss's wife? She looks so terrible, all dried up, like she's about to die. Everyone says I look like her, but how? I am much more beautiful." My reflection in the bright glass showed a bare face and a bulky down jacket. It wasn't attractive indeed, and I was nearing death. A colleague pulled Zoe aside and whispered, "That's because she's not made up. If she were, you are no match her beauty. Also, don't provoke her just because the boss favors you. You have no idea how much the boss loves her. If you upset her, you will pay a heavy price." Heard that Sean loved me deeply, Zoe pout and roll her eyes at me. She brought me a cup of tea and asked softly, "Annie, how can the boss stand to make you wait so long?" It's strange. In the past, no matter how busy he was, he would always come to see if anything I need, saying I was the most important. I used to think he was equally considerate with other women. Her smile was sweet, her eyes curling in a way that reminded me of myself when I was younger. It became clear that Sean treated Zoe differently. He had numerous lovers, using them to provoke me, each night bringing a different woman home to test my reactions. Sean never lingered long with them. Perhaps a day or two, maybe a fortnight, but he quickly tired of them. Yet, with Zoe, it was different. Sean maintained her life, taking her out for meals, shopping, and to movies. They appeared like any other loving, ordinary couple. Sean provided her with money and affection. I looked at Zoe, smiled gently, and asked, "Oh, you're so important to him. How can Sean bear to keep you as a hidden mistress? You should convince him to divorce me immediately and make you his wife." Zoe's expression darkened with fury. In a lowered voice, she snapped, "The unloved are the mistresses. You are the unnecessary one. Are you relying on having met Mr. Smith a few years before me? But now, you're old and ugly. What do you have to compete with me?" Her colleague, likely worried I would be upset, quickly came over and pulled her away. But none of this affected me. I had already resolved not to be angered by Sean, not to feel sad over him, nor to be jealous of other women because of him. He is not worth it. Zoe was abruptly pulled aside, lost her balance, and fell. The shattered teacup cut her palm, spilling blood across the floor. From behind the conference room's glass, Sean witnessed Zoe's injury. Dropping the documents in his hand, he burst through the door and swept Zoe into his arms, demanding coldly, "Who the hell hurt her?" The colleague who had intervened stepped back, his face turning white with fear. I sneered, "I did it, and she deserved it." Through her tears, Zoe glared at me and yelled, "Yes, it's my fault. I fell in love with someone I shouldn't have. I'm labeled a mistress, a homewrecker. But Mr. Smith, as long as you love me too, I'll stay by your side forever, and no one can tear us apart." Despite her absurd proclamation, her tearful expression was endearing. Sean chuckled at her words, reached up to wipe her tears, and comforted her, "Sweetheart, you've turned into a little crybaby." His treatment of her was indeed different. I lowered my gaze, no longer interested in watching, and addressed Sean, "For my birthday this year, I want $500,000. Ironically, we are married but don't even have each other's contact details. I never seek him out unless I need money. We agreed before marriage that he wanted my company and I wanted his money. Sean has always resented my materialistic nature. In the past, no matter the amount, he would comply with my requests, often giving more than I asked. This time, however, he gazed at me with a cold smile and said slowly, "You can have the money. But first, Annie, bow your proud head and apologize to Zoe." Sean intended to use money to strip me of my dignity and buy Zoe an apology. For the first time, he was using money to degrade me in favor of another woman. I slowly clenched my fist with a faint smile on my face, holding back the pain that surged through my body. I turned and walked away. I no longer wanted his money. I found myself curious, "Sean, if one day you realized this money could have prolonged my life, learn how much pain I suffered before my death, what would you think of me?"